yourself?
When you're
when
you're talking, don't look at us. Just look straight ahead, because then sometimes you're like.
Oh, it moves away. Okay.
Ready?
What does that mean?
I don't know. You good?
Yeah. Good idea.
Check.
Check.
Check. Check.
Check. 42. Episode 42.
Or you can do the intro because I've pretty much bombed the last two that I've tried.
I'll do,
So
I'll
we're
do
just
the
gonna kick
intro.
it back to you.
I'll do the intro.
I like it.
What's happening, everyone? Episode 42, Nothing to Lose podcast. I'm Tony, joined by my co-host Joey. We got a special guest today, Victoria. Say hello, Victoria.
Hello.
For those of you that don't know who Victoria is, I'll break it down for you real quick right here. She's a local San Diegan, moved back after 10 years of living in LA. While she was in LA, she earned her bachelor's and master's degree in
Linguistics.
Yes, linguistics.
I asked her before too. I'm terrible. She's currently a professor of English, certified yoga instructor, and a running enthusiast. She's been granted opportunities to work with Nike and a woman of Tone It Up. And when she's not running or teaching, you can catch her watching The Office reruns and eating Thai food.
Absolutely.
Boom.
Big fan, Dwight Schrute. Big fan.
I've actually never watched The Office myself, but Thai food is my ish. So.
Oh yeah, Lana Grill in Pacific Beach, delicious.
Oh really?
Can't go wrong. Mm-hmm.
Huh. Mm-hmm. I like Thai Time or Taste of Thai, even Bon Thai, but I've never been to that one. So
Oh yeah.
check it out.
You want to know?
Yeah. That one's good because they put basil in their chicken fried rice. So I like that.
There you go.
Anyway, normally we would start off the segment with like an icebreaker because we don't want to just like jump down your throat, right?
Cool.
Catch you off guard. So, do you have any stories?
I got it. You got one?
Yeah, I've got like a somewhat story.
Go for it. I'll go after.
Okay.
Two stories.
So if you listened, and I know you've listened, but I have a dog named Dexter, and he's like, one of the worst things ever. He's a really, really bad dog. This is episode 6 of me trying to get rid of my dog. But
there's a link in the bio.
link in the bio. But he's actually currently losing his teeth, right? So me and Rihanna have started collecting his teeth and whatnot. So that's awesome.
What are you gonna do with them?
I don't know. I guess just hold on to them forever. That's a good question. I'll have to think about that. But last night, I fell asleep on the couch watching some TV on accident, and he jumped on the couch with me. And in the middle of the night, around like 1:30 in the morning, he was repeatedly punching me in the face.
Great.
Over and over again. Over and over again. So I didn't get really much sleep last night. I hope that you guys did. Hope that you're well rested.
I slept great.
Dexter's trying to ruin my life. But yeah.
Big dog, small dog?
He's a big dog in the making. So he's 5 months.
Oh, yeah.
And he's already like 50 pounds.
Do you talk shit to him, like when he does stuff like this? Like, are you like, or are you just like, oh, it's okay, Dad?
No. I really tried to do the whole dad thing, but like I don't know.
It's a joke for him.
Kind of. Like I've spanked him, and I've said that before, and then he just kind of like runs away and like just takes it. Like I couldn't hurt him if I wanted to,
It's testing you. It's gonna build you to be a great father one day, hopefully.
Yeah, right.
One day.
One day.
So, Victoria.
Yes.
You were very well accomplished, just like Tony's intro, which was great, by the way.
You like that?
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. It only took 42 episodes.
Tell us about yourself.
Sure.
That wasn't already discussed.
I feel like those are the things that are discussed, or have like most important things that have happened. While living in LA was some of like the best years of my life.
What part of LA?
I was in the Valley, total Valley girl. I know, I loved it. I made some of the best friends there. All my time went to studying, and then once I was done studying, I started running and working out. And yeah, that's pretty much what's gotten me here now. And then I've always wanted to move back to San Diego, and I applied to tons of jobs down here, but wasn't getting any or like emails back, phone calls back, nothing. And then finally,
they left you on red.
Literally left me on red. And then at 3 schools emailed me back, and then I was able to come back. So here I am.
You're originally from San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Went to LA for schooling.
Yes.
And then came back.
Awesome.
What university did you attend at in LA?
Cal State Northridge. Go Matadors.
All right.
We have like no football team, just a basketball team. Our team's pretty good.
Is it?
Yes, so that's the good thing. But
it's like D2, right? Or like D3. Like it's competitive. competitive enough. Like,
Yeah, we made it to Sweet 16
No way.
a few years ago.
so
Yeah,
you
I had
won it, huh?
Yeah.
Basketball. Yeah.
so that's pretty good. Yeah. So I went there for both undergrad and grad school. I didn't do so hot in undergrad originally, so then I went to community college for a little while, and then went back to Cal State Ridge to finish out.
Sometimes you gotta do it.
You have to, right? But
That's
then
awesome.
finish strong, 3.9 in grad school.
Damn.
3.9 in grad school?
Yeah, no,
Wow.
no big deal.
Wow. So on
Let's
top
not
of
talk about
this,
undergrad though.
Yeah.
so on top of that, at the same time, you were obviously training and running, right?
Yes.
And you were maintaining your physical abilities.
Mhm.
How did you balance that?
It's a hard act. I'm just trying to get back into it now, but I was going to during grad school. I was going to school and I was working 3 jobs. But one of my jobs is teaching yoga, so 3 jobs and going to grad school was nuts. I didn't really like do anything but go to school and work, which is fine. But before or after teaching yoga, I would make sure I got in my own workout, whether that be a yoga class or going to a boot camp class or going on a run. Just making sure sometime throughout the day I had an hour to myself. So within all that craziness.
So you don't have a dog, I'm guessing?
No talk.
There's
No
nothing
talk.
holding her
You
back.
would have no hours to
No.
yourself.
What were the 3 jobs?
Let's see, I worked as originally an English tutor, a yoga instructor, and I served tables at Hakkasan, it's a fine dining restaurant in Beverly Hills. Yeah.
Yeah, the club in Las Vegas.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. They have a restaurant too in Vegas.
They do?
Yeah, it's Michelin star. 2 Michelin stars. If you ever get a chance, check it out. It's delicious.
That is like the 3rd restaurant you shouted out.
I know, right? No sponsorships with these restaurants.
I'm
I
not
just
a
literally,
foodie.
yeah.
I'm not a
No,
fan.
I'm a total foodie. If you ever need recommendations for anywhere, I have quite a few lists. So
Alright.
yeah.
I don't know, one of
Mhm.
like the new year, like in January, like an early post on your IG, like you're gonna change your name from Run Victoria to Ewa Victoria.
Oh yeah. Exactly, because all I ever do, I'm like, okay, where's the next place we're gonna eat?
That's fast, right?
Mhm.
Let me ask you something else.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned yoga, and last episode I was saying how I want to get into yoga.
Yeah.
Right? How did you get into yoga?
This is a setup. I set you up with this.
Yeah,
No.
right? Like,
This-
it's really going to drive me to do that class tomorrow. I bet.
No, it's actually a crazy story. So my friend Adriana originally asked me to go to a hot yoga class with her, a Bikram class.
Oh,
Back when I was like, I must have been 18 or just turned 19. Like I was really young, and so I went to a class, and halfway through the class, I got a bloody nose, and it wasn't like a bloody nose, like oh no, like it was everywhere, and I had to grab a towel and cover my face. So embarrassing, and so I was like, I'm never doing yoga again. And then my friend Emma came up to me and she's like, Victoria, and I was like maybe 6 months to a year later, and she's like, Victoria, let's go take a yoga class at Core Power Yoga. And I was like, no, let me tell you, I know how that goes. She's like, no, it's hot yoga, it's different. I was like, no. I've done hot yoga,
No.
it's not a thing, like don't do it, it's a trick. And then we went, and Core Power offers a free week. And so I went and I did my free week. I went every day, and then I've honestly just been going ever since. 2 years later, I became a teacher, and then I teach at Core Power, but I also have taught other yoga studios as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just kind of picked it up and then you were just really good at it?
Oh my gosh, there's no being good at yoga. Let me tell you, it's something that you like consistently work at. It's kind of getting over that hurdle and just being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and like knowing it's okay to look around and figure out what's coming next, and like listening to the teacher so you're still safe in the postures. Like every time I go to a class, I learn something new, and I've been doing yoga now for 6-7 years. Yeah. So.
Wow. Yeah. The last time I went, I was so discouraged because I don't have a really good center of balance apparently, and it was just a bad time. And then between us 4,
And a lot.
I think that somebody just like kept farting.
Oh,
to be honest.
yeah,
And
no, that's a thing. It's foul.
I couldn't. It was like gag reflex, where it was like really, I don't know, if you're going like pasty, like you just like kind of, and it was like, oh, so.
No, I have a weak stomach, and it happens in every class.
You just describe like high school gym class.
Right.
Yeah. Except I would probably take adolescent BO over whatever this person was eating because it was just.
Oh no.
It was Thai food.
Thai food. Yeah. They was a lot of girl. Yeah, no, so just getting comfortable and figuring out, you find your groove. And then with balancing, if you press into the big toe mound of your foot, you'll be able to balance. Try it tomorrow when you take your class. Yep, exactly. I see
it
it,
yeah. I'm like, wait.
Yeah, it's
I'm
a game
sitting
changer.
There too.
See?
Awesome.
I know, yeah.
So I would like to think that yoga kind of helped you balance this like crazy hectic schedule that you're gonna get grinding through?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would say because the elements of yoga and the philosophy of yoga is all about like understanding your thoughts rather than kind of, I'm not sure how anyone deals with their thoughts in general, but the way that yoga taught me is kind of just like allowing yourself to sit and listen and not run from them, which is also what I do. But about understanding what's coming up and why it's coming up rather than just saying like pressing it down or going with it.
That's a really good point because like you are an experienced marathoner, right?
Yes, well, one marathon, but experienced and half marathoner.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just kind of brought up something. They're complete polar opposites of like any sort of physical thing.
Right.
Yoga is very centered and it's very meditation and like you said listening. Whereas running, that's the most physical thing that I can think of.
Right.
Besides like swimming. Yeah.
Oh yeah, swimming is insane.
So, I mean, do you have to be in a different mindset to train one or the other, or do you just do both in one day?
I do both in one day, but I think with running, once you get, like, everyone's different. For me, after mile 3, like the first 3 miles, which is about 25 to 30 minutes, right?
Pain in the ass and the worst, and you want to stop.
Yeah, you're like, why am I doing this? This is miserable, and all of your thoughts are there. And then that practice of yoga comes in where you have to, like, live with your thoughts. And so then after mile, whatever it is for you, but for me it's mile 3. After that time, then you get into that meditative state, and like your feet are going to the beat of the music, like with each beat, and that's like everything goes away. All you have is like you and the path you're on. So yeah, my old roommate Natalie, she makes fun of me because whenever she would see me out running in our neighborhood, I was like always smiling and running, and she was like, "You look like a Tampax commercial." But it's like, well, after you get to that space, like you really are just like so happy.
That's so funny.
I know.
It's like one of those commercials that's like, I live with gonorrhea. And it's like someone like
grocery shopping at Trader Joe's, like, I love collard greens and my gonorrhea. And you're like, okay. So funny. Yeah, right.
You sort of experience the same thing whenever you're running?
Yeah, it's like the first 2-3 miles is just like, I just want to turn around and like, I could go home, watch TV, and then I'm not going to do this no more. And then after that, you just get in a high. It's that runner's high, and you're in your own zone. You're thinking to yourself, and you're meditating. It's the music or the podcast, whatever you're listening to, you zone out and nothing. You don't worry about nothing too. So I think that's like the best thing about running, because if you're at the gym, like, I enjoy going to the gym too, but the gym, you have a surrounding, you have stuff around you, you're running, you're out in nature, you're out by yourself, and it's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I know.
See, like, I would really like to, do that as well, but I just can't. I guess it's an inertia problem, where I just can't go from stop to start. I have a really hard time getting out of that stop zone here, but.
No, I really, even now I'm trying to get back into like a normal running routine and have like the idea of waking up and like doing my dynamic stretches and like all the things you have to do before you run, because I was just going out and running for a long time, and then I learned with Nike all of the things that have to happen beforehand, but then I'm like, okay, or I can just sit here on the couch and watch TV.
Just chilling, kid.
Yeah.
I haven't got the stretching part yet, so.
No, you don't stretch?
Nah, that's probably why
You
I
don't
have
stretch?
a little ankle injuries and all that.
Yeah.
I stretch after. Just go. Just do it.
Beforehand.
Just
Just
do
do
it.
it. Just do it.
Just do it.
No, beforehand, I always have to do dynamic stretches for hips, hamstrings,
Yeah.
calves, ankles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't run in 2 weeks with an ankle.
Oh my God. Well, you should have stretched. Well,
Yeah.
Or shouldn't run in Spartans. One or the other.
There you go. Fair.
So you grew up in San Diego. What part of San Diego were you native to?
Claremont. Good old Claremont.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Claremont. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're bringing everyone from Claremont out.
Yeah, that's.
Shortly, as you can see.
Yeah.
Did you go to Claremont High?
No, I went to Madison.
Madison.
Yeah, the better of the two schools. Their rivalries.
Right.
So no, I went to Madison.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, I loved it.
What was growing up in Claremont like for you?
It was great. It's I went to Kroc Middle School, and that's it's not Kroc anymore. They actually closed it, changed it, renamed it because it was a little rough around the edges. And then Madison was awesome too. Just very lenient, not academics weren't the focus, so everyone was in some kind of extracurricular. So I played volleyball, I cheered, I was in show choir, which was my favorite thing that I did. Theater, everyone kind of wore a lot of hats, which made for like well-versed students. No, there wasn't like a lot of bullying or things that I see now in high schools.
Is there anything you haven't done? That was like
Let's see. I know.
4 or 5 different random things that I would have
You haven't tried.
Right.
Wow.
There's a lot of things. I've never done a triathlon. I like swimming. I'm not very good at swimming, but I like it.
Do you like biking?
I like biking, yeah, but I haven't done that in a long time.
It's a shorter swim, so you might be down for it.
Right. And in
So
high
Matthew will be right behind you.
yeah, they're like, all right, here you go. And I tried doing track and field in high school, and I hated it. Fun fact, yeah. Despite how much I've always loved running, track and field was a whole different.
Did you do like cross country then?
I didn't even do cross country in high school. I just ran like for myself before and after school. Yeah, so I'd run 2-3 miles before school, 2-3 miles after school. Yeah.
So you need a team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no,
yeah.
I'm
Forget the team.
like for me, because that's a whole different paradigm. I'm having a lot of trouble even imagining having that much energy.
Oh right, but
So-
I'm always like, I haven't had caffeine today, so I'm always high energy like this. Like I wake up
Joey.
like Energizer Bunny. Yeah.
Did she just say what I think she said? She doesn't have caffeine.
No caffeine.
How much caffeine have you taken?
Oh, I've had like, in excess of 500 milligrams today.
I'm at 300, and she's
Yeah.
over here. She's more hyped than us.
Right.
Wow.
No, I usually have a lot of caffeine. I have 2-3 cups in the morning at least. It was like 4 o'clock, and I was like, wait, I haven't had coffee, but if I have it this late, I'll have nightmares. So.
Nightmares.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Too much coffee after a certain time. Any caffeine, actually. I'm like a grandma. I'm like, okay, there's no caffeine. Yeah.
Is there sugar in this?
Yeah, right. I'm all hyped up. Everyone's like, what did Victoria have?
You had a Tootsie Roll, like stop it.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
did have sour punch before we started, so that's
Oh.
That's
a
true.
hype right there.
That's true.
No shot, just sour punch now.
Like, what kind of childhood did you have that like you were so active? Because
Oh.
even when I was a kid, I mean like what did you do? What did your regimen? Did your parents push you to do these things, or were you just always like, let's go?
Yeah, I was kind of always like, let's go. My family upbringing was very interesting. I was raised by my grandparents, who I call mom and dad. But I was raised by my grandparents. They raised me and my 3 siblings. My brother, I have all brothers, and the reason I'm high energy. And we were allowed to do kind of whatever we wanted extracurricular. So if whatever we did, we had to stick to. So I did softball for 3 years growing up. I played the clarinet, but I had to stick to it. It wasn't like sign up and if I didn't like it, quit. I had to finish the season or whatever it was. But they kind of let us do whatever we wanted. They said that we could be whatever we wanted to be. My dad always told us to find something that we love rather than like go for the money, because my dad's a plumber. And so like he was like, doesn't matter what you do, just make sure it's something you love, because he doesn't love what he does, and he makes good money, he owns his own business, but long term,
Yeah.
So I've always had that in the back of my head. And then my siblings, my older brother's very successful. He's a financial planner, and then my younger brothers are also successful with their own different like avenues. One's a DJ, and he like DJs in Tijuana and DJs all around San Diego. And then my other brother growing up was an amateur skateboarder. So we kind of all like wore many hats and just did whatever made us happy at the time and continued on.
So your grandparents, your mom and dad, they promoted happiness over productivity.
Exactly.
And which made you productive.
Right.
Boom. Funny how that works.
Yeah.
Funny how that works.
Rather than like pushing.
Yeah.
I mean, we all had to have good grades. It wasn't like a free for all by any means, but it was definitely like, go to school, get good grades, do these things. My dad, the one thing he really wanted, I'm fluent in sign language, and and my dad was like, you're gonna be an interpreter. That's all there is to it. There was no looking back. That's why I chose Cal State Northridge. And then I got there, and that was why I did poorly. My first year, I hated my major. It was so difficult, and you couldn't work and go to school, and I had to work and go to school.
Of course.
So that's why I went to community college, went for part-time. But yeah, that's the one thing my dad always pushed on me, was becoming an interpreter. But then he's happy now that how things worked out.
Can I ask you kind of like a personal question?
Yeah.
Why did your grandparents raise you?
Oh, so my biological mom is a drug addict, but on top of that, she's bipolar and schizophrenic. She was born bipolar, but schizophrenia is onset by drugs. And then she just never could. She was sober for 12 years, and everyone thought it was going to be this huge thing. And then she relapsed, and it's just sober for a little while, relapse. And then my biological dad, I actually don't know him. Yeah. So it's interesting. Everyone's like, wow, but for me, I don't know any different. So it's kind of, I'm like, again, open book. But my brothers, they tell their stories a little bit different, because they were raised with our biological mom for a little while she was sober, and then came into my grandparents' home.
Okay.
So they call my you'll have to come over for Christmas or something and like see our dynamic, but my brothers call my mom and dad, my younger brother say grandma and grandpa, and then me and my older brother, we say mom and dad. Yeah. So it's very different, but modern family, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no two that are alike.
Right.
Right. Huh. Okay. I mean, I wanted to ask that because that is some sort of struggle. You know, even though you feel like you've never experienced it, it's like a psychological struggle.
Joey will sit in these interviews and try to find somebody's struggle. So now you're gonna go after.
No, I agree. Yeah.
No, I'm not.
No, I commend you for it. Like everyone has a struggle. We gotta show it, and everybody's gotta embrace it because you can't it's not a highlight reel.
I love you just said that it's not a highlight reel, right? And the reason why I ask such really personal and prodding questions is because somebody might be out there listening that went through the same thing and seeing how successful you've been in multiple facets.
Thank you.
There's no excuse why they can't do it too.
Right.
Right. I mean, unless you're drinking some super juice.
I wish.
But I mean,
there's always things like if I were to go through. It's actually funny. So my boyfriend Eric, his cousin last weekend asked me. He's like, "How do you always stay so positive? How's everything like always cheery?" And I don't see it that way. And then when I'm telling my story and like things like this setting, I go, "Oh yeah, like I don't talk about the negative things," and that's also partially like a flaw. I could talk more about the negative things, but there are so many things that really do like have launched me to where I am. When I was born, my grandparents weren't the first ones to take me. My aunt and my cousin did. Everyone's like, "What are we gonna do with Victoria?" And my biological mom, there was no way she could take me. So I was like passed around throughout my family. Like it wasn't just like wake up and go. And then later on, like again middle school, 7th grade, I hung out with the wrong crowd. Like I was saying, my middle school was rough. I had my GPA was like a 0.9 or something crazy.
You didn't show up to class?
Yeah, I was ditching school. Right. I was getting suspended like for whatever, talking back to teachers, referrals, in-school suspension. And then 8th grade, I wanted to go on this trip, the East Coast trip. Yeah. You go all over the East Coast, and you had to have a 4.0 in order to go. And all the teachers who I said I wanted to go, they were like, "There's no way, Victoria." They doubted me. They actually said that to me. And as a teacher, I would never say something like that to a student, even if I thought that was true. There's a different way to say it, but they said that to me, and I had got 4.0, and I went on that trip, right? So then I just started to like realize, you know what I mean? I started to realize like, okay, like I can work these things. Again, going to college, my entire life since I was 12, I was going to be an interpreter. I failed my first year of college, which was like, I graduated high school with a 3.8, right? And then I go and I failed my first year of college, had to go back, right? All of these things, and then during undergrad, I worked at the Cheesecake Factory, good old cheesecake, and I worked there for 5 years as a lead trainer for the LA region, and we got a new general manager. She came in and cleaned house, and I was one of the employees that got fired. I've never been written up. Nothing ever happened, and at that time, it was like the end of the world, Yeah. But then that launched me into applying for jobs that I didn't think I was qualified for teaching, for being a TA, for tutoring, all these things, and that's when I first started working in schools. And that's working in schools, I'm surrounded by people who have master's degrees and doctorates. So then I wanted to get my master's degree, and then grad school was actually like went by really great, but then I went through a terrible breakup with a boyfriend I thought I was going to marry, and then he cheated on me. We lived together, and he was coming home and getting in bed with me after cheating on me, and like my whole world went upside down because I had this idea in my head about what our future looked like, but it was obviously much different for him. And so like that was a deep depression, but then I started running heavily, and then running brought me to Nike, and Nike brought me into all these other things, meeting new girls, getting opportunities with Tone It Up, and just reminding myself.
You're jumping ahead here. I've got some questions for you.
Great. But
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. But just saying, those are those negative things that have like gotten me here too. But the positive things are, you gotta celebrate both. But the positive things are just easier to be at the forefront of your mind.
Okay, so I guess like your mindset. Do you dismiss the negative things, or do you just like kind of focus on the good and recognize the bad still, or do you just completely
No, when they're happening, I live through them and like gnarly live through them. I allow myself to feel every emotion. I cry when I want to cry and happy when I want to be happy, but that's during it. Once I feel like there's like this threshold that I've passed, then it's something that's behind me and there's something new to celebrate and continue on to.
That is the exact advice I give all of my friends.
Really?
Yeah, like people who have gotten broken up with, cheated on, or just kind of failed something. I say you need to feel it 100%. Like you need to feel every emotion and cry, so it can allow yourself to, just like you said, close the door, get some closure, and then realize when you wake up feeling better that the sun's still gonna rise.
Exactly.
And like the world still keeps turning, life goes on.
Right.
So like 100%. That's almost verbatim what I tell my friends.
Right. There's always something new to look forward to rather than like dwell on.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
She just got out of the comfort, like she was in such a comfort zone because you're like, I'm gonna work a cheesecake, I'm gonna graduate, and then after I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do.
Why would me a cheesecake?
Let me go there.
Right.
But like that, getting out of your comfort zone, like do you think like getting fired at cheesecake was just like that's where everything just clicked from you? Like, hey, I gotta just level up or just move out of this thing that I think is my path and find a different path, or?
Yeah, no, it's funny because I always say like that was such a turning point in my life just because it was so comfortable. 5 years lead trainer, I made my own schedule. It was pretty rad and it was great money at the time.
Yeah.
But I think that so much of what I do and what's gotten me to where I am now is that idea of being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and that's relevant in different avenues. Like maybe that means like being okay that you're pretty fucking broke right now, and then taking the time to earn your money and work hard, or so yeah.
Well, I mean, like getting fired is never good because you're not prepared for it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Was your initial reaction to start applying to other restaurants?
Oh, I did. That's actually also how I got into Hakkasan, because being a TA and working in schools is not a lot of money, especially living in LA. So that's where I got the job at Hakkasan. I applied in that week of like not knowing what was happening and getting fired and everything else, and my severance check, because I had paid time off or whatever. I applied to 17 jobs and I got hired at this restaurant in LA called Big Wings. And it's like a Hooters reject restaurant.
Oh, Wang, like wing
yes,
with an A, not like Wang like a Chinese food place.
No, Big Wings, wings with an wings with an A.
No, who's that? That's Big Wang.
Yeah.
That might have been it.
No. We wore shirts that said "Size Matters" and like little Daisy Dukes and yeah, it was. But in my defense, it was also very good money. It was downtown. It was during like football season, so it was a little sports bar, made good money. But my friend Emily worked at the fine dining restaurant across the street, and she came in one day and was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I just needed money," and so she hired me at Hakkasan. Yeah.
Nice.
She was like, well, she wasn't actually hired there yet. She was in the process, and then she was like, "Come with me." Yeah.
Nice.
It worked out.
Connects. Connects. I like that.
Yep.
Jeez.
I know.
Okay, so you kind of gave us a preview. So you've had opportunities with Nike.
Yes.
I've never
just
heard
woke
of
up
that
one
brand.
day,
Yeah.
I have no idea what Nike is.
and I'm wearing it,
so-
no socks at all.
Yeah. I know, and your shoes.
Nike
you
socks,
walked in your
the
shoes.
Jordans, Nikes.
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of vague. What opportunities do you have with Nike?
So I used to run with a run club in LA called Blacklist LA with my best friend Maggie, and they are a photographer who takes pictures of you, and they'd always get pictures of me and Maggie running together and smiling because we post to the camera and then post to our Instagram. And Maggie one day had someone message her and ask her for her email, and Maggie was like, or she asked Maggie if she ever ran a marathon before, and Maggie said no, and she goes, "Cool, how about your friend and your pictures? Has she ever run a full marathon before?" And Maggie said no, and she had, "Great, what are you guys' email?" And Maggie had no idea what it was for. This woman, her Instagram had nothing about Nike at all on her Instagram. Maggie gave her her junk email, asked for mine, I gave her my junk email. We had no idea. And then she emailed us back, and this whole thing about what's your crazy dream? Would you dare to run a marathon with Nike? And we were like, wait, what? And we're rereading it, and we're like, check the email that's coming from,
Is it
you
at
know?
Nike, or?
Yeah, and it's at Nike, from at Nike. And then we looked her up on LinkedIn, and lo and behold, she worked for Nike. She was like a huge coordinator. And so we had to send in a time when we felt like we overcame defeat. And I shared this, it was right after, or right in the middle, I should say, of my terrible breakup. So I was sharing how running really propelled me to find like the most authentic version of myself and feel strong in my skin again. And then Maggie shared about, she's a dancer, a phenomenal hip hop dancer, and she shared about an injury she had and how she wasn't able to dance or do any kind of movement. Also a yoga teacher, so she was kind of in this weird space of like figuring out her identity without having movement for 6 months or whatever it was. And they chose us, and it was crazy. So then we trained with Blue Benedum. If you ever use the Nike running app, you can listen to him and have him in your ear while you're running. He's really an amazing athlete. Oh yeah, Kevin, you can do Kevin Hart. Coach Bennett's also pretty great. But I was coached by Coach Blue and Coach Beck. She was our strength training coach. And they gave us a 15-week schedule to train for Chicago Marathon.
Oh, and that was when you completed.
So, no, then another
plot twist.
Yeah, plot twist. Then 10 days, maybe almost 2 weeks before the marathon, I broke my second toe. And so most people don't know this. I said that I just stubbed my toe.
Be like, shout out.
Yeah, is this what? Is somebody said? Oh man, this is. So I stubbed my toe. I was in the kitchen and I was making pizza rolls, and I said, "Oh, I just stubbed my toe in the refrigerator." No, I was doing leg swings in my kitchen, and like I was telling Tony earlier, my kitchen's very small. So I did like my left leg just fine, just got back from a run, flipped my pizza rolls, did the right leg, and like jammed my toe my foot right into the refrigerator, dropped me to my knees, and I was like, "Eric, come," but I'm pretty dramatic, so he didn't believe me. I was like, "Look at my toe," holding my toe, crying, and it was completely pointing to the wrong direction. So we went to the emergency room, and they didn't even have to look at it, they knew, and then just to, of course, check.
Did you
they
want
got an
vomit?
X-ray.
Oh, it was pretty gnarly. There was a right angle in her foot.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So they were like, "Yeah, there's nothing you can do." I was like, "Well, I'm running a marathon in 2 weeks," and they're like,
"No, you're not."
Yeah, they were like, "No, you're not," and I was like, "Yes, I am." And Eric was like, you can tell her she's not going to, but she's gonna try."
Yeah.
And they're like, "I really don't recommend that. These are the things that could happen," and the things they were telling me were terrifying. And I was like, "Wow, I'm not gonna run this marathon, but I am." And then I went out to the start line, and I got to mile 10, and I went to the medical tent. I couldn't do it anymore. It ended up working out because then I waited and I did my full marathon in Sacramento. And it was nice because Nike still supported me. My coach was running it. He was going for Olympic trial time, so he was there, and I went and I ran it, but I didn't start my watch. I just went and I enjoyed. Instead of running during Chicago, I feel like I would have had more pressure to kind of like do well and push my body as hard as I could. But when I did my full marathon, it was only 2.5 months later after breaking my toe, so I still wasn't fully ready to like run that distance. So I ran my first 17 miles, and then I walked the rest of it, and I enjoyed, and I talked to people, and I heard some really cool stories, and yeah.
So the question from Felix was, of course, how did it feel to run a marathon with a broken toe?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so it was, honestly, I didn't have much pain in my toe at all because I was overcompensating. The pain was in my hip while running. Yeah, because my balance and my gait, everything was changed. So, and it was pouring rain. And in Chicago, it pours rain in pockets. So I was running with one of my teammates, Karin, and she didn't even know my toe was broken. We're running side by side. We had a good pace going. It was like 9:30, and I felt pretty good about like all of that and my breathing and everything else. And then at mile 10, I went to the medical tent. I called Eric and I was like, "I can't go any further, and it's pouring. I'm soaked." He's like, "It's pouring?" He's like, "What are you talking about?"
He's on the
I'm
other
like,
side. I was like,
yeah.
it's right out here.
He was like, "Get to mile 13. I was like, "I physically can't move." And he was like, "No, at mile 13 it's clear. Like, you can keep going." And he, of course, believed in me. But yeah, so it didn't feel good. My toe felt fine. My feet felt fine. It was literally just my hips and my knees from overcompensating. Yeah. And the next day was hell. Taking an airplane from Chicago all the way here and not sore just because I was using muscles I don't use when I run.
Restless, right?
Oh yeah, it was. Oh gosh, it was miserable. And everyone in the airport has their medals on and their Chicago gear, and they're walking through. I know, I felt a little defeat, but they're all like, they were limping. I was already limping from my 10 miles, and they were limping from their 26. And I was thinking, why do people do this? This is crazy. But then I did it, and I was like, oh, this is why.
Quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Your shoe of choice. for running in?
For running, okay, so for running, for long distance, I like the Pegasus 35.
I was gonna say, do you rock the Pegasus?
I rock the Pegasus. I also like the Pegasus turbos. I do shorter distances in the turbos, and then longer distance in the 35s. And for a track shoe, I do the Vomeros. Yeah, they're a little bit heavier for a track shoe, but they give you more support, so it's nice.
What about lifting shoe?
Like, a shoe to lift in. Oh, what are the shoes I have what are they called?
Metcons?
Not the I do like the Metcons, but there's another pair that Nike gave us. They're phenomenal. I'll have to get back to you guys on that one.
Gave you?
What did they dude?
That
So
they
what's the
gifted
care
to
package?
us.
What was his care package? Like, what did
All
they do?
12 pairs.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. I honestly,
You still
you
need
know,
shoes.
I figured that they were gonna give us a pair of shoes because we're running with Nike, but I had no idea that they were gonna like hook us up as much as they did. They're a pretty rad company. They believe in their product. They believe in their mission, and it's evident as how they talk about their things. So we had.
Oh,
Yeah, that's great.
That's your running coat?
my running jacket.
This is the
It
cold
has my
weather.
name on it.
This is
Says
the water resistant
Nike
one.
Women Marathon Project. It has the date of our marathon and then the distance, 6.2 on the sleeve. But no, so the very first training weekend,
That's so dope.
right? It's rad.
I want one.
I know.
Nike.
Yeah. Hey Nike.
Everyone sponsor podcast. Let us know.
So they had us come to our very first weekend. It was back in June, and we got like a little paper in the mail saying you've been invited to the Dream Hotel in Hollywood. And with that was like a jacket, and we were like, cool, a running jacket. Like that was exciting enough, like that one jacket, and then this letter to go to this hotel. We show up at the hotel, and we have a duffel, we have a like day bag, we have a suitcase, just like, and our bed is covered like a full of clothing, sports bras, leggings, tank tops, shoes, outerwear, jackets. I mean, everything you could think of. It was nuts. Yeah, I really had no idea. I'm still shocked because, yeah, we were still getting a few things. Pretty cool. Yeah, they just opened actually in LA, Blue Ribbon Sports. And if you know the story of Nike, they're originally called Blue Ribbon Sports. And where the original store was, they were able to get a hold of that same lease. So they're back in that space of Blue Ribbon Sports. And they have runs hosted out there. It's a space for runners. And so it's really historic when you go inside. It's pictures and memorabilia, and you can sign and take Polaroids, and there's a group run that's led outside of the space by my coach.
That's like Muscle Beach or like World's Gym over in that's
Right.
like one of the historic sites for awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's great. I'm gonna check it out. I don't even know if I'll be allowed in because they're like, you don't run. But,
No, you could definitely go. And I mean, anyone's always welcome in these spaces. You can just check on the Nike app. It's pretty rad.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Jen was the other day, she was telling me she was looking for shoes on Nike.com, and then guess who pops up as a photo?
Which one?
I did?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm all excited.
Seriously?
They took. I mean, we have so many photos of all of us running, and so
No,
they
it was
used
like a
it.
training, like you were just in a training studio, and there's like a trainer shoe, because she was looking for something like
Oh.
for the gym to use.
It's
Get out
that
of town,
shoe.
yeah.
That's the one I'm doing lunges. Yeah, that
Get out of town.
one.
Are you serious?
Mhm.
No big deal.
You're on the Nike app.
Right. So
Nike.com.
if you
You're
go
on
to the
the
website.
website?
Yeah, there's some of the pictures from our photographers took have been used for marketing. So
Yeah.
even in Chicago, so we had this special like private shoot, and we didn't know what it was for, but it was like a week. Like they only give us 3 days of notice, and it was a week before we were leaving for Chicago. And so like some of the girls did, not all of us. There was 40 of us in total, and 25 girls went. And they took these photos, the girls with no makeup, whatever. And when we started running Chicago, every bus stop was one of our girls, and it said "Just Do It" over their face.
Damn.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
insane. I mean,
That
like
is
everyone was
crazy.
crying. Yeah, it was rad.
Before we get any further, did
Mhm.
you finish the pizza rolls?
Oh yeah, I said. then I said.
Sobbing on the
sobbing.
floor.
I'm sobbing on the
What
floor,
about the
and
pizza?
he's like, "We have to go to the hospital." I'm like, "I know, but I'm so hungry. Can we bring the pizza rolls?" So I ate them in
I'm
the
sure
car.
somebody was wondering, listening. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, I ate them. I
Loaded-
was stoked.
Yeah, loaded you in the car and then went back inside, put them all on a plate.
Yeah.
Put the
Brought
plate
it
in your
brought it
car
on
and
an actual
eating
standard
it.
plate.
Oh my God.
shrimp.
They were so good too. I actually haven't had pizza rolls since. My coach was like, pizza
Traumatized.
rolls? Really? I was like, they're good.
Pizza rolls 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
Your shoe, your training shoe is the Nike Free Flyknit 3.
Oh, okay, my training shoe, Nike Free Flyknit
TR.
3.
I love the free Flyknits.
Yeah, they're rad.
But it's the TR. The training was the cross training shoe.
Yeah, the
Nice.
cross training shoes, super rad. I the gym that I go to, when I don't run, I wear that shoe, and it's like you don't move around, your toes aren't moving around. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, those are
Yeah.
so dope.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Oh, does that?
Yeah, Jen
man.
pulled up your Instagram, I think, too, and then saw the photo. She's like, look, she's been doing this all along. And she went like, see, it's right there.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, I'll have to go check that out.
That is good.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What is it like being a woman in like the fitness industry?
Oh yeah, that's actually a great question. So it's really easy to compare. You know, especially when your best friend is also in the fitness industry, and like, you know, physically what you're able to even just do, not anything else, just like what you're able to accomplish. And so like, you know, when I run with my friend Maggie, we're constantly in this like secret battle to see who can go faster, and like we have the same rhythm and cadence, so we kind of stay together. It's really good and powerful for each other. But like, so something like Nike, you know, some of these girls, they're athletes, they're Instagram models, they're true models, they're, you know, all of these like elements of them, and you start to compare other things, like when they get shots of them or there's more pictures of them, or I don't know, whatever comes up, you start comparing, like looking at your body a little bit different. And that's not like the most healthy thing to get into, but it does come up.
So how'd you handle that? So I know everyone compares this. We all do it.
Right.
We all scroll through the gram. We're like, fuck, like, damn. You know. So how'd you like come to cope? Like, hey, I'll come with you, or.
Right. I think when you are like in this space of loving what your body's capable of, rather than what your body looks like, that's when the change happens. It's not pushing through and like what.
You finesse all these questions right now.
Thank you.
I really feel like you. Did you get a script or something?
No, I had no idea.
What a wonderful answer that was.
No.
That was wow.
Thank you.
Great answer.
Yeah, no, it's true. You have to, you know, think less about what it looks like and what it's capable of, and being grateful that you're able to accomplish what you're able to accomplish, you know?
Yeah, but like when you were approached by Nike and was like, hey, we're doing a photo shoot, you've got 3 days to compare. Were you like, you know, counting carbs, not eating, and like?
Right. No, I eat everything. That's never my issue. I eat everything. But I told you I'm a foodie. Yeah, I eat with Victoria. No, I was always really self-conscious about being in like a sports bra and leggings only. Like, it's just not in my comfort zone. Again, being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I like to wear, you know, a tank top or whatever it is, long sleeve, and we had certain outfits that are like, pick, you know, wear a sports bra and leggings for our very first photo shoot in the hotel in LA, and I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's not my jam. And then I went downstairs, and all of these girls are celebrating each other, and like, there's like less about like what your own things are, you know, like, oh, I have this little role here, I have this. It was just more about like, oh my gosh, we're all doing this together, we're all working, and there's women of all sizes, backgrounds, colors at this shoot. So you worry less about those things, you know, when an actual like photo shoot of any kind was coming up. Not that I had most of the photos were candid, but you know, the very first one I did was definitely like, I don't know, or the last one we did. We took a photo of us when we came in from the marathon, and I was the only one out of 40 that didn't finish, you know, and I was crying, and they wanted to take a picture of me crying, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. That doesn't make me feel comfortable. It doesn't make me feel pretty, but it's true emotions. That was pretty. It actually, the photo turned out really rad.
It's really powerful.
Yeah, it turned out pretty cool. But yeah.
You felt like you finished though, like, okay, so like the whole group finished, all the girls finished, but you didn't. But did you feel like I kind of finished because I was part of this project? So.
Oh, absolutely. And I, at the time, I felt really accomplished. Like, I kind of went through these waves. Like, I felt really great about it, and I was like, I did 10 miles with a broken toe. Like, I'm so stoked. And then we had a dinner that evening, and everyone had their medals, and they're taking photos, and our coaches are taking photos. And I wrote thank you cards to my coaches, but like, I knew my journey wasn't done yet because I still wanted to accomplish the full marathon. And so it was like, I kind of rode this wave of like, oh, I'm so stoked I did 10 miles. Oh wait, but I didn't actually finish yet. I still have a marathon to do eventually. But overall, now hindsight with the marathon done and with Chicago, I'm so proud of those 10 miles that I logged that day.
Yeah, I tell her she did 36.2.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Project 36.2.
Yeah, Project 36.2. Exactly. So.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
She ran in the rain to go to Sacramento, which is like nice and sunny.
You know what? It was the coldest day. I'm like, what can I get a warm day? December 2nd in Folsom Lake. You run from Folsom Lake to the Capitol, which was really cool. It was beautiful. They also said it was my coach told me, and the website says it's a net downhill.
Mm-hmm.
That's a false statement. It's a lie. It might be a net downhill, but it's rolling hills the entire time. So for, I don't know, 13 to 15 miles, it was just like rolling hill. You're like, what? I had to ask somebody, I was like, excuse me, have you ran this race before? And this man was like, yeah. And I'm like, how many more hills are there? He's like, around the half marathon point, starts to flatten out. And I was like, mile 15, it started to flatten out.
It's funny that you say that, because I have a friend from the gym that ran it. He's like, I got lied to too. Like, they told me it was gonna be pure flat, because you think Sacramento, just flat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, the first half marathon, he's like, we're running up hills, and I wasn't ready for that. He's like, I was ready for a nice flat marathon.
Exactly. That's the other thing is my training all stemmed. I did very little incline work just because Chicago's flat. I do incline work every week, but not to the level if I were gonna do, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Nike's great. Your
Yes.
marathon is even better.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want to listen about like your intellectual achievements as well.
Thank you.
Because like, receiving a master's in anything is tough, but like linguistics,
3.9.
with a 3.9,
don't forget. No.
not only is that really specialized, but you know, so
That's the title. We'll put 3.9 as the title.
3.9. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I kind of like 36.2 a little bit.
36.2.
So, I know that you were going to be an interpreter for sign language, but what made you transition to linguistics?
So I was enrolled as a deaf studies major, and then and then when I went to community college, I was just taking a bunch of literature classes, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna major in literature because I like reading, I like writing essays. Let's call it a day. Mm-hmm. And I was gonna be done really quick once I made the transfer to CSUN, and while as a literature major, I had to take a linguistics course, and I took this class, and it was so difficult, but I loved it. It was kind of this like middle ground between literature and
math,
and yeah, like a science and like and language, because it's the science of language, but it was learning about like even like the syntax and pragmatics of sign language, a language I've always known but didn't have this like linguistic awareness about, and learning other languages too. So the class, I got a B in the class, but it was very challenging, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna major in this. This is pretty interesting. I want to learn more. And then I transferred back to CSUN as a linguistics major, and I had to take phonetics, phonology, again, syntax, morphology, pragmatics, like all these things, breaking language down literally into algorithms.
Yeah.
And I've always enjoyed,
love it.
yeah,
Love it.
right?
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed science. I'm not very good at math, but like having, the letters and things that go with it, it was just something that eventually came natural to me. And I like answering more, like there's never like a no, like yes, this is all there is. It's kind of like a yes and, which I kind of love. It's like, well, this is why this is happening, but this could also be another reason why it's happening in language. And then for grad school, I knew originally I wanted to teach English overseas. So I was like, okay, well, I'll get my master's in linguistics, emphasis in teaching English as a second language, and go overseas.
To where?
I would go anywhere. I want to go to a Spanish-speaking country. It's my second language, but it's like a little rough around the edges, my second language. So I want to go to a Spanish-speaking country to practice, but I'd be so happy to go anywhere. But my older brother had kids, so then I didn't want to like miss them growing up.
Aunt Judy's came.
Yeah. And what?
The Aunt
Judy's came. It's the best. I'm taking them to Chuck E. Cheese on Sunday.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I know. So, yeah.
Shout out Alex. He posted on Twitter about Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, he did?
He says if you wanna see how like the battle, like how they're gonna be when they grow up, take a kid to Chuck E. Cheese.
Hilarious.
How they like battle it out for the toys and all that. So.
It's a good point.
That's really good point, actually.
How they
Yeah.
And then later take them to Dave & Buster's as their adults.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, really.
At Dave & Buster's, they have giant sock 'em boppers. You guys remember that game?
Yeah.
Sock 'em boppers,
Yeah.
right? They have this like giant one.
How many tickets is that?
I don't know. It was broken when we went, but I was like very amazed, and it's huge. It's not like, and it's not like a costume you put on, but it's like stick people, and you work.
The Rocket Flock robots.
Yeah, the
It's-
robots.
Oh, Rocket's like, oh, okay.
They're
And then like
giant,
their heads
they're
are like,
ginormous.
Yeah.
It's pretty disappointing. Like it looks cool, but like I
Aw.
did it in LA. But I'm sorry, like it's just so slow. Like you're doing it. You're like, come on, and then it's like, dude.
Oh no.
So, but the design is cool, and like the concept, you just wish it like a little bit more speed into it.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you're somebody who likes a challenge.
Yes, this is true. I like a challenge. Any challenge. Here's the thing. I like a challenge if I know that I can do it safely and that's something that's attainable. I think there's a lot of challenges that aren't necessarily attainable for everybody, but I think like, you know.
So you're a realist.
Yeah. Yes, and very much so optimist too. So.
I like
You know.
that. I like that. Okay, so you got your master's in linguistics. You're teaching
Mhm.
English right now
Yes.
as a professor
Mhm.
at which institution?
So I teach for San Diego Community College District. So last semester I taught at Mesa, and this semester I'm teaching at continuing education. So it's like adult education.
Yeah.
They get to take classes for free, which is pretty rad. But yeah, it's crazy. There's budget cuts during the budget cuts for this semester, but really for everything. But 17 faculty were offered classes at Mesa this semester. So then last minute, not even 2 weeks ago, I was asked if I was able to take on an ESL class, and I was like, yeah, of course, absolutely. But I'm eligible to teach literature because I took so many classes in undergrad: literature, ESL, and linguistics.
Okay, is it tough teaching people who are your same age or even older? You
Oh,
know? Because,
absolutely.
I mean,
The respect, which is
Right. And coming in saying, hi, I'm Professor Sanchez. And they look at me like, you're Professor Sanchez, right? Because I'm young as is, but I look younger. I get that quite often. So those kind of things. But the hardest thing isn't at the college levels, it's not so much respect. But I have people, because I teach ESL, so people who in their countries have PhDs and have master's degrees and are doctors and educators and lawyers and dentists. I mean, everything you can think of.
yeah.
And then I'm teaching them like, this is verb agreement, and of course they need it. You know, if you're learning any language, you need it. But then I'm like doing readings about Steve Jobs that are at like a 6th grade level. You know, I know that their comprehension skills are higher than that, and it's like a weird ground to be in because I don't want to like demean their knowledge,
course not,
you know, because
yeah.
it's not what my goal is. But my goal is to help them with English, and you have to start with the basics. Adults learn language the same way a child learns language, so you have to start with this is a what, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so.
Are you frustrated? Like when you come in and like I have a PhD, like why are we starting at the bottom? Like
No, I had some people like, you know, when they come in they expect it, but I had this one woman who had a PhD in microbiology, right? And she wanted to go. I teach the class. Oh yeah.
Where was she from, by the way?
She was from Iran.
Okay.
And she wanted to work as in the field of microbiology here in the States, but she had to pass a test to prove her knowledge of microbiology, but the test was in English. And so that's why she was in my class. Her English was phenomenal, but she was worried about her writing skills. So she was in my class, and it's a class right before English 101, and I was telling her, I said, are you gonna take English 101 in the spring? And she's like, no, I don't need it. And I was like, why? And then she was telling me her background, you know, what she was doing. I was like, is this class too easy for you? And she's like, yeah. And because her English is great, but you know, she was saying, yeah, it's a little easy. It's just the writing that I was concerned about. And her writing was also phenomenal. She was just being harder on herself than she needed to be. But like, the coolest thing is I don't get as frustrated. I just feel bad because I want to help them. So I'm like giving them the confidence boost that they need in a sense, you know, like, no, you're fine. Go challenge yourself. Try it. Like, I promise you're gonna do great.
That's like kind of really humbling as well.
Yeah.
You know, like just like being that, because you have something that they need, but on a grand scope of things, they're way more qualified for something else that, you know, me, you, and everybody else would never know about, like microbiology, you know? So I'm like, being able to assist somebody with that, for me, that would be like a really great experience. I would, you know, that's it.
the joy, we get a joy out of it. Like,
yeah, because like this lady has a PhD, but she's in, you know, English 100, and I mean, she's kind of eaten that too. So if she can do that, then
Right. And then I have other students on the other end of the spectrum, which also like reminded me of like why my job is so amazing. But I had a student in LA, he was from El Salvador, and he took a bus from El Salvador all the way to LA. Didn't speak, I just want to talk like English 1, so like level 1, like hi, my name is kind of stuff. And verb, and like basic verb agreement is are, you know. And they.
Take that class.
And he was telling me a story, and he's trying to tell me both English and Spanish, this like common ground, and we both were having a moment because I only spoke a little bit of Spanish and only spoke a little bit of English, and trying to, meet somewhere in the middle. And he was telling me a story, and he moved to El Salvador or to LA when he was 17. His mom put him on a bus because she didn't want him to be involved in gang life, and his dad worked in the farms in El Salvador, works in the farms, and so he took a bus to LA, found a job as a mechanic, works as a mechanic, met an American girl, married her so he could stay, and then sends all of his money back to El Salvador. And the only reason he's taking my class at the time was so he could learn English in order to earn a raise at working as a mechanic. It's just like that story, you're like, I live 100, at the time, I live 120 miles from my mom and dad and my siblings, and I go, oh my gosh, I have to go to San Diego next weekend, I miss my family. But this kid hasn't seen his family in 4 years, but sends all of his hard-earned money back, and when he's not working, he's now taking English classes to come better himself in his future, not only for him, but his family. It's like, I don't know, it's amazing, yeah. Crazy.
Not American,
yeah, no, that's completely not like an American trait.
Yeah.
It's sad to say, but it's true. Like we're just like gimme, and we don't forget to give back to others.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially people that we love and literally gave us life.
Right.
I know that I like to take care of my mom. When I can, she takes care of me still a lot.
Right.
I know a lot of people who don't want anything to do with their parents. And it's like, or anybody else, their brother, sister, cousin. So I mean.
Yeah.
Family's super important, right?
I agree. That was like one of the things my dad also like instilled in us was my middle brother and I, he's the only brother I used to fight with. Like we always argue. And my dad doesn't talk to his older brother because like we don't even actually know, but they haven't talked in like 40 years, right? But my dad has other siblings he talks to often. And then when Martina and I fight, he's like, you guys are lifelong friends. You can't fight. Remember that. Like you're lifelong friends. And so I don't know, maybe at 20, I'd come home to visit and I'd go out with my friends, and inevitably Martina and I would be in the same space because all of our friends are mutual. We're only 16 months apart. And so it's like this whole thing, but now my brothers, like they come over all the time, we see them often. It's the best thing. Family. It's irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A running question. Where do you prefer running? LA or San Diego?
Ooh. LA. LA.
They have more trails, right?
Yeah, well, you want to know what's the coolest thing in LA is that their run clubs are free. And it would be my dream to start a run club in San Diego that worked off of my old run club, Blacklist LA's idea. They ran Monday nights, Wednesday nights, and Saturdays. And Monday nights was an art run, which is what I want to do down here. And you get together, it's late. We ran at 10 p.m., but we would do 3 to 5 miles-ish. And at the halfway point was a street art mural. And someone would do the research to figure out what the mural was and what it meant to LA and why we chose it for that night. And it was so rad. And so it brought all these people together. I mean, there was nights where there's 300 runners out there.
Going for a run, honey, and I'm gonna go learn about some art. I'll be back in an hour.
Right, yeah. It was awesome. It was far. I lived in the valley, so it was downtown that most of the time. But that was the coolest thing is they're all free. And then down here, I run with San Diego Track Club. Have you ever ran with them?
I heard of them.
Yeah.
Is that free?
It's free on Tuesday nights. It's free.
It's like down the street, but I still won't go.
Yeah, it's so easy. It's right here at San Diego High School, and they're awesome. People are so kind, and it's all speed work, and it's more individual. Whereas Blacklist is a collective, like everyone's high-fiving and hugging, and it's a community. And I think if I kept going with San Diego Run Club, it would eventually turn into that. But
yeah, because you're the outsider. You're not a regular. So everyone's like, oh, it's that one face that comes every other week or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's that girl. What was your name? Veronica. Close.
She's always wearing Nike from head to toe. Like, how does she do it?
Right.